So in this episode, I'm going to be going through how I built our Watermaker from scratch on our boat. If you guys are here for more technical information like pros and cons, cost, and system components that I used, skip to about minute 15. Okay, we have been in insane work mode recently where we've just been totally getting our house ready to put up for rent. We've just been full on for the past 2 or 3 months, just getting the boat ready to go, the house ready to go, us ready to go. And there is so much logistical stuff involved in quitting your job, getting your house ready to put up for rent, getting the boat, all that stuff. There's so much involved in that we didn't really realize, and I don't think anyone realizes until you get into doing something like this. Yeah, your life just becomes so hectic. And now we're into the last couple of weeks where we have 3 weeks left until we're ready to move out of our house, put it up for rent, and move on to the boat. And then 2 or 3 more weeks after that, we're ready to shove off this dock, get out there, and just get this adventure going and just see what it's like and just do it. But basically, these are all the parts for our Watermaker that we're gonna build. We decided to build a Watermaker for several reasons, and we can get into that later, but yeah, these are all the parts that we're gonna use to build a Watermaker, except there's one pump that's still missing, but this is basically it. Need to figure out where to mount this, need to figure out where to mount these, need to figure out, this is our high pressure pump, need to figure out where to mount that. I need to figure out where all these pieces are gonna fit in this little space in its best organizational way as possible, and what makes the most sense for maintenance and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, is I've got everything out. I can see what I need to mount in rough sizes of things, and now I just need to figure out where to put it. So I have an idea, and we're gonna go start there now. So this is our starboard lazarette. This is where we hold a lot of our lines and fenders. This is a good place, I think, for these systems. I'm gonna mess around a little bit and see if I can figure out how to mount these in the best place possible that will stay out of the way, but is also easy to maintain and replace filters and stuff. That's gonna be the hard part, I think. With a lot of typical Watermakers that you can buy, they're going to come with their own control panel and all that stuff. And then for us, we don't have that. We need to put all this together ourselves. Not too bad. Perfect. Perfect enough.
No one's really gonna see him, except the people on YouTube right now.
Are they even? No. But you know what? That's fine.
I didn't want to answer that. It hurt your feelings.
Alright, so one of these is boost pump.
Sorry.
I can't see.
Figure it out.
High pressure pump. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm just talking myself through it right now, but basically this valve is a one-way valve, and I just need to make sure I get the water going the right way through it. And then I'm just trying to get all these connections right on the back, because to get all the hoses and stuff on the back of this panel is kind of a pain, especially when you have all these different fittings that, like, once I put this, well, first I had this one here, which meant that if I was going to put this on, I would need to be able to spin this way.
Right.
So there's no room to do that with a panel. So now I've taken this off, and I'm going to put it on this piece first and then spin it around this one, which should work. And then I can just kind of, once it's on, I can just kind of rotate this down, and then that'll sit in place. I mean, it's kind of janky, but I think this will be my last turn.
There you go. Is it in all the
Sucks
way?
because I kind of made that slot just barely. Well, no, that'll
There you
work.
go, push it.
Yeah.
That looks. Yeah.
Is that pretty good?
Mm-hmm. Is it in all the way?
Yeah.
In the little
You can
slot?
twist it. I mean, it's going to hold itself on there.
Right.
So that should work.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Pretty solid.
on there, yeah. Alright, so I just got this high pressure hose in the mail, and this is going to be the last piece I actually need to get the reverse osmosis membrane put in. So I'm going to get this hooked up now, and hopefully get, this thing might actually get done today. We'll see. There's a chunk of metal in here, and it should not be in there. It's not good. Sink water. Should be good. So we ran this system yesterday. Overall, it sort of worked and sort of didn't work, and part of the issue of it not working is the boost pump that we had in the system. So like, this is the boost pump that we had yesterday built in, and this is a centrifugal pump. The problem with this pump is it doesn't have a pressure cutoff, so this is basically just running non-stop. And I don't know what, I can't remember what the gallon per hour is on this, but it's pretty high. So this can really send a lot of water through our whole system, which is good, but it's also bad that it can overpressurize the system if there's no way for the water to get out, or if the water getting out is really slow. Basically, the water comes into this and then through some filters, and then it hits our high pressure pump, and our high pressure pump is only putting out 0.25 gallons per minute. The high pressure pump basically is not letting all of the water coming out of this pump through the system. So the high pressure pump is backing up the whole system, and then this thing ends up pressurizing our low pressure part of the system, which is bad because it's low pressure, is not meant to be under a lot of pressure. So then we started to get leaks from our filters and from like all these other places that aren't supposed to be under a lot of pressure because of this pump. At least that's the thought anyway, because this is the only thing that can pressurize that part of the system. So I've taken this out, and we have this spare pump that came with the boat when we bought it, and I just tested it and it works. Yeah, so this pump actually has a pressure maximum. So this is maximum pressure of 50 psi. So this has a switch in it that will turn it off once this pressure on the front side of the pump basically reaches, or backside, whatever, reaches 50 psi. All right, this is round 2, round 3 or 4 actually. So we put our new pump in, and Orly is down there with the distilled water. Yeah. Okay, so now I'll turn on the boost pump, and then high pressure pump, and then we'll see what's leaking, and hopefully we don't have a leak out of the filters, and then we'll just have to worry about behind the control panel. All right, boost pump.
Obviously, there needs to. I was thinking. I need to put the hose in.
Oh.
I didn't even think about that. Sorry. I was like, wait a minute, I'm doing something wrong and I know it.
I was like, maybe it's still priming. Because
So
there was no
was
water
going...
moving.
I was like, shit, I forgot the hose.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
All right, I'll just turn the boost pump on. All right, it's got water, I can hear it. Okay, so that filled up. And once that reaches 25 psi, it should shut off. Which, actually it won't, because it's going to discharge the whole time. Is there discharge coming out? Yep.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so it won't turn off.
We wrestled with this thing for the next 24 hours, chasing down tiny leaks everywhere until finally it was up and running, generating about 6 to 8 gallons of water. Since this was just a test run, we were using distilled water, which gave us a strange side effect that I was not anticipating.
So basically, like, we've hooked up the new pump that we got, which was 25 psi, or rated for 25 psi, and then 2 gallons per hour. It didn't seem to be enough to get the water to the high pressure pump to like keep the pressure going up. So then I hooked up the backup pump that we had, which was a 50 psi and a 3 gallon per hour, and it's working way better. Now we're up to like 400 psi. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it's just not getting up to the pressure that it should be. It should be getting up to 800, and it's only hitting 400. And the pump that we have is 1,000, so the pump should be able to get it there. Yeah, I don't know.
And the distilled water did come back clean.
Yeah, because I mean, when I turned the whole system down so it can't discharge anything except into the test water, there's test water that comes out. So like there is water being forced into the membrane, through the membrane, and then out, like it's fresh water.
Yeah.
But I think maybe because it's pure distilled water, that it's way easier for that membrane to filter nothing, because it's not filtering anything with distilled water. It just goes right on through.
That's true.
That doesn't build, it doesn't back up anything because it's just going right through.
Yeah.
That's what I'm wondering if what's going on.
That's actually a really good point.
Because it really hits 400, and it's you turn the thing the whole way down. There's no discharge coming out of that hose, so it's forcing all the water through that membrane. It should back that pump up to force 1,000 psi, but it doesn't.
Which kind of sucks because in order to test that theory,
We need salt
we
water.
need salt water, which we won't have for a while. So
Hope that it works. So we are living full time on our boat now. It's been honestly really pretty easy. We're still living at a dock. We haven't left yet, but we are getting ready to leave here in a few days, and we don't really have an answer yet for our Watermaker question. We've pickled it and we've only reached 400 psi with the distilled water, so we're kind of gonna leave here on the hope that once we hit salt water we can reach 800 psi with the whole system. I've done some research and I'm about 95% sure that's what's going to happen. I don't think we have any faults within our system that would not allow us to reach 800 psi with salt water. If anyone knows more about that than I do, please let me know, because I would love to leave here with more confidence that we are going to be able to make fresh water when we are living out off-grid. I am not the first person to make this setup using these components. Take what I have to say for my specific system, maybe incorporate some of it, maybe think it's dumb and not use any of it all. Look at what other people have done using these components, and if you're going to build one of these systems, build it for how you think you're going to use it and to the best fit of your boat, because all boats are different. So the basis of our Watermaker and any Watermaker system is basically converting salt water outside the boat into fresh water. And there's a few main components involved in that, and on our chart here we have all those components along with a lot of other bits that make it specific to our boat. But in general, you've got raw water on the outside of the boat. It needs to go through a through hull, then through a sea strainer to get rid of any sort of jellyfish or seagrass or anything that could potentially come in like large chunks. And then from there it's going to go into a boost pump. From there it's going to go into pre-filters. We've used a 20 micron and a 5 micron filter double, so it goes through a 20 first and then through a 5. From there it goes into our high pressure pump. We're using the PumpTech 107 SS. This is a pump that's actually been designed for misting systems in agricultural applications. There have been a lot of people that have contacted the company about using it for boat Watermaker systems, and this seems to be a pump that works well, and the company even advertises it as a reverse osmosis pump for a boat, like to be part of that system. So this system is pretty basic once you get up to the high pressure pump. Well, a lot of us have boost pumps, a lot of us have sea strainers, we all have valves and filters and all sorts of things on our boat that we already are aware of. The new part of the system, and that's a little bit more foreign to people, is once you get to the high pressure pump area and then you get into the membranes and the gauges and the valves and all that stuff. So basically the water is going to get boosted into this PumpTech 107 SS or whatever your high pressure pump is. And from there, that pump is going to be able to produce significantly higher pressure than your boost pump. Most boost pumps are anywhere from 20 to 50 PSI. This PumpTech 107 can go up to 1000 PSI. So when you leave this pump, when the water is coming out of this pump, it can be put at extremely high pressure. The way that you monitor that pressure and the way you control it is using this needle valve. And you need to have a pressure gauge between your membrane and your needle valve so that you can control and know what the pressure is when you are backing down that valve and basically forcing that pump to create more and more pressure in the whole system. So brine overboard is going to be everything that's leaving past this needle valve. Everything that's still flowing through the system and trying to get out, that's all your brine. Anything that's getting forced through the membrane is going to be all your fresh water. From there, you'd basically just need to be able to separate whether the water is going to test water, which for us is just going to get dumped into the sink. We can test it in a cup and make sure it's drinkable. Once you know it's drinkable, then you're going to flip a valve and you're going to send it into your tanks and you're going to be creating water. Within this area, somewhere in here, you're going to want to put a flow meter so you can actually measure how much water you're making. So with the overall cost of this system, there's a lot of pieces in here that are specific to our boat, to the way that we want to have our system set up. I'm not going to cover the cost of individual through hulls or individual sea strainers. I'm really going to cover the cost of the boost pump, the high pressure pump, the membrane, the high pressure vessel, water pressure gauge, and the stainless steel needle valve. Those are the very specific things to this system. So the boost pump that we ended up going with was not the Johnson boost pump, because that pump does not have a high pressure cutoff switch. So we ended up going with just a typical diaphragm pump, which is approved by the PumpTech people. They just don't really know how long it's going to last, and I guess we'll find that out. So those pumps run anywhere from like 120 to 150 bucks. And then from there, the PumpTech 107 SS, let's see how much that costs right now. PumpTech 107 SS varies anywhere from 630 bucks to 850 bucks. So let's round that off and say 700 bucks. From there, you need a reverse osmosis membrane. We went with the DuPont FilmTech SW30. 2521 reverse osmosis membrane. That's $100. Some of these membranes go for $200 or $300, so I'm gonna split that at $200 for this membrane, and this should last years as long as you take care of it. And then you also need a pressure vessel to put the membrane in, and those go for about $250, so that's what I'm gonna say. There's different kinds out there, but $250 is a good number for that. The pressure gauge that I bought, which is 1,000 PSI, that was $10. And then the needle valve that I got, which again is overkill at 6,000 PSI, we'll say $35 on that one, not too much. And then various PEX fittings and pre-filters and stuff. And I'm at $1,245, which is significantly cheaper than any other system you're gonna find. Again, there's like more components that in here, like all these little fittings and stuff. So I would say like $1,500 is probably a safe number to be around for this whole system. So pros and cons of this system. The first one, like I just went through, is cost. The economy version of a Rainman Watermaker, which is what we were looking at before we built the system, we were kind of comparing everything off of, is $4,694.80. We spent about 32% of the overall cost of that Rainman Watermaker. That's pretty significant, especially when you're talking about a difference of almost $3,000 on the whole system that we could be putting towards anything else on the boat, any other important systems, new sails, new equipment, whatever it is. We have $3,000 left and we're still able to make the water that we need. That's a pretty big benefit to me. From there, the next pro is compartmentability. So we're able to basically customize this system to fit our boat in any little space we can so that we can maximize all of the unused space. So when you guys saw me working in the starboard lazarette, all of that area that I was working in, for the most part, was unused space. There was some stuff in there that needed to be moved around, but we had so much extra space in there, like up on the walls and stuff, that just was never going to be used. We were able to finally utilize that space, gain a Watermaker without sacrificing really any space. With these other systems, the components are a little bit bigger and you have a little bit less flexibility in how you can organize them because it comes as a kit. With ours, we could literally buy every little piece we needed, longer hoses, longer wire runs, whatever we needed to be able to separate the pieces all around the boat, which was really important for us to save space. And then lastly, this system is purpose built for us. So like I said, the Rainman Watermaker is a higher output Watermaker, same with Spectra and a few others. There are other Watermakers out there that are basically just, they're going to be higher output Watermakers, but they're also going to draw a lot more power. We don't have a huge battery bank on here. We don't have a massive amount of solar to be able to dedicate to a large Watermaker that can produce like 30 gallons an hour. We can run this system, we're anticipating, like once every couple of days for a few hours when the sun is really bright and we have an excess of solar. That's when this thing's really going to come in handy and not use up all of our electricity, and we'll still have water. So that's a big plus. So switching to the cons of this whole system. The first con that a lot of people might think of is that this system is DIY. It's not going to be a Rainman Watermaker, a Spectra Watermaker, where you can just buy the kit and you have everything there for you. You do have to figure out how this system can fit into your boat and the different parts and components that you need. There are pros when it comes to that, like I said, with being able to compartmentalize everything, but it is going to require a little bit more work and thought to figure out how it can fit into your boat. And it's not going to be as easy as just paying someone a little bit for the system and just being able to just pop it into your boat. No warranty. This system has individual warranties on the different pumps and stuff, but like there's no overall warranty for the system. So if you bought a Rainman or a Spectra Watermaker, you're going to get a warranty with the system that's going to be for however long. I don't know what they are. But with us, we don't have a warranty. If it breaks, we're responsible for it. We need to fix it. We need to replace parts. That's a downside that just is what it is, and we're gonna have to deal with that if we have any breakages. And then that goes right into no technical support. So we don't have anyone that we can call if we're in the middle of nowhere and something's not working, saying, hey, we're not getting water, the water's not flowing the way it should be, whatever it is. We don't have someone that we can call. We don't have Rainman that we can call. We don't have Spectra that we can call. We have to rely on ourselves. We are pretty self-reliant. We do a lot of the work ourselves, but that is a downside where you can't just get on the phone with someone and say, hey, this is what's happening. Tell me what I need to do to fix it. We don't have that option. So at the end of the day, we don't know if the system totally works. We do get 400 PSI with distilled water. I'm thinking we're gonna get 800 PSI with salt water, just based on some research that we've done. So yeah, all in all, really happy with the system and how it turned out. Really happy with the installation, all the parts, everything we've done. I think we're going to get 800 psi out of salt water. I'm not really that concerned about it. We will try it once we get into salt water, and you guys will certainly see how that goes. But yeah, overall, happy with it. Really happy we can make water, and we'll be pretty self-sufficient once we're in the Bahamas in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, that's all I got for now. We'll see you guys next time.